ones, my name is Shrina Chantel, and this is the place where we believe in living to bless and not impress, and where we talk all things faith, life, and entrepreneurship. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing 5 out-of-the-box creative ways to stick to your goals this year. Now, we all know everything already about SMART goals, and it's true. Goals should be specific, measurable, realistic, or reward, and timely. But aside from that, sometimes we're trying to fit this method of doing things and we're not taking into consideration our personality, our motivations, the way you're wired. And so I'm hoping that these creative ideas can kind of get your juices flowing and find methods that actually help you to get closer to what it is that you want. So idea number 1 is to self-record. Pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to take out your camera or your phone and you're going to record you speaking to you. Now, you know they say that the voice that you believe the most is your own. Well, we're going to kind of leverage that a little bit, and you're going to speak to yourself when you're hitting your low point, when you are not feeling motivated, or when you just need to be reminded of what it is you said you wanted, because no one else made these goals for you. This is what you say you want. And so something that I've done is it's kind of almost like a time capsule, but for the purpose of creating goals. So you're going to speak to yourself. If it's, for example, health or whatnot, you can speak to yourself every time that you feel like you're veering off. And so it's a video of you speaking to you and reminding yourself of what it is that you want. Now, you know what kind of stumps you. You know the thoughts you're having when you're feeling discouraged. So this is you in a high place, speaking to yourself when you are at a low place. So an example could be like one that I've done to myself is I'm like, Shrina, do we really want to be having this conversation a year from now? I need you to do this. And then I'm telling you, when you see yourself pleading with you, you're like, I don't want to disappoint her. Like, I'm telling you, it plays on the emotions, and you can have it handy on your phone. You can watch it whenever you want to go to the gym or whenever you're, doing something to encourage yourself. So try self-recording, try speaking to yourself and looking at it. You can also do something that I've done is I've done videos to myself, and I told myself to this is getting a little confusing, isn't it? But anyway, I've done videos for myself and I told myself, okay, open this in 2 years time, or open this on your 30th birthday, that sort of thing. So if it works for you, please let me know. Tip number 2 is to forget yearly goals. Now we can overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we're able to do in a month. And so I want you to forget yearly goals and think of monthly goals. So ask yourself, okay, what is it that I want to have done and accomplish in January? What is it that I want to do in February? What is it that I want to do in March? And do monthly goals. Now, the great thing about this is it's more bite-sized. Also, it allows you to have those monthly check-ins. Now, the problem with only doing New Year's resolutions and only thinking about goals once a year is you only have one check-in. The only time you analyze your life, reflect, think of what worked, what didn't work is once a year. And so if you break your goals down monthly, then you get that check-in. Even if you're off track or 1 month completely escaped you, you still have, when you're creating your goals for the next month, you get to reflect, okay, what didn't work? What can I do differently? And it gives yourself the chance of having 12 checkpoints instead of just 1. So monthly goals is your friend. And if you can find an agenda like the one I have where that's embedded in it, then look for one, because it's amazing and it's really helped me looking at my goals per month instead of the year. Creative idea number 3 is to create a goal digger group. So what you want to do is you want to gather a few like-minded friends or friends who don't want to just talk, they want to walk their talk, and you all kind of put a little bit of skin in the game. I mean, rules up to you to create them, but what I would suggest is that you all share at one point in the month what your goals are for that month, and then at the end of the month you have a check-in. What happens is those who didn't follow through on what they said they would do, they're gonna pay up an amount. I suggest 50 or 20, and then that amount is gonna get divided and given to those who actually followed through on what they said they would do. And that way, if you did your goal, you're rewarded, and if not, you're penalized. And the great thing is if you're all doing your goals, you all save your money, everyone's happy. But if one person messes up, they pay everyone else, And yeah, but it's up to you to get creative. This is just to get the juices flowing, and obviously use wisdom with who you do this with. Make sure, you know, the friendship is strong, because it can get a little bit awkward dealing with money and friends and relationships and all of that. But use wisdom, have fun with it, and motivate each other, encourage each other, even if it's having those check-ins. It's really, really helpful. Tip number 4. Okay, so the whole idea of this is to just look at your goals differently. And so number 4 is to make it fun, to think of it more of an experiment instead of these rigid rules that you have to now adhere to. So basically what I suggest is having 3 overarching goals for the whole year of 2020. 3 areas that you're wanting to improve in, grow in, develop, and basically have fun experimenting different ways of coming to that outcome. So for example, if I said I was going to go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week and that didn't work, so forget my goal, you know? Instead you go, okay, maybe that didn't work for me, what else? So maybe it's finding a class that you really enjoy, or maybe it's you know, joining a dancing class, or then trying belly dancing or pole fitness, or I don't know, just experimenting, having fun. And so the great thing about it's just a little change in thinking of it as an experiment allows you to get creative in finding different ways to meet those overarching themes. Another thing you can do with that too is color coordinating it with your schedule. So with those color schemes, so let's say for health everything is in green, let's say for business everything is in pink, and let's say in money, like you have some financial goals, everything is purple. And then in your calendar, so in your iCal or whatever program that you're using, all your activities that fit in one of those categories, color coordinate them. That way at a glance you could just look at your week and you could go, okay, I'm seeing purple, I'm seeing green, I'm seeing, what was the other color I said? Can't remember. I'm seeing all the colors, which means that you're doing actions every week that meet your overarching goals. Hope that made sense. It's just thinking of it as an experiment. That way it doesn't have to necessarily be rigid, but you're just doing different actions, activities that are feeding into the overarching goals that you've set out for yourself. That gives a lot more flexibility. It helps you to stay focused, and then you can have a lot more fun with it. And if something doesn't work, you get to try something else. You get to experiment and find different means to that end. So that's more of a mindset shift, but practical tip as well. Okay, tip number 5. Now this might be a little frustrating because it's not something that you can implement right away, but you will be ahead of the curve next year. So pretty much tip number 5 is to write your goals for the next year in October. So the Jewish people are onto something, because their new year is in October, and I'm telling you, when you write your goals in October, you feel like you're ahead in a way. And then usually people start to wean off after a few weeks really, but definitely after 3 months. So after 3 months, which is December, the whole world is there's like a natural push to think about your goals, new year, new you, and you're already 3 months into it. So then there's that natural push that comes, and then 3 months after that you would already have been 6 months into your goal. So by then you should already see results and compound effect and already feel motivated to end well and to finish strong. So I definitely encourage you to write down your goals in October. And yes, you probably missed it already for 2020, but you could definitely do it for next year. All right, so I want to give some kind of rapid fire tips and just things to consider when trying to stick to your goals. So one thing that I love to do is pray. I love to invite God into this process. My prayers go a lot like, God, what do you see for this year? What are you already doing? What is it that you want to bring about on the earth in 2020 or 2021 or whatever it is that you're watching this, and asking God, like, what do you want, you know? And so as a believer, like, I want what he wants. And so it's partnering my will with his desires, and then partnering with God and bringing it about. So praying, inviting God into that process is definitely something that I would encourage you to do. Second thing that I love to do is create a vision board. And now I'm not just doing a vision board where I just put a bunch of things that I want and say that they're going to happen, but what it is that I'm doing is just creating visuals of the things that are already in my mind and heart to do, creating visual representations of things that God has spoken to me, creating visual representations of what it is that I feel called to do. And it just helps me to stay focused as well as attach action to my faith. So I don't believe that faith is passive. I believe faith and action work together. So allowing me to see the visuals, I get to ask myself, okay, what seeds am I planting in all of these areas that I have posted here? And so it just allows me to have it at the forefront of my mind, the things that I have committed to, the things that I feel called to, and the things that I'm preparing for. Tip number 3 would be to choose one thing. Sometimes we write a whole extensive list of New Year's resolutions, but the best thing is to just pick one thing, just to simplify it and pick one thing. Now you might want to pick one thing that has the biggest impact on every other area. So you might want to think, okay, what's one thing that'll have the biggest effect on everything else? So maybe for you it's for your health. Like if I had more energy, I'd be able to pour into everything else. Or maybe for you, you feel strapped by a lack of finances, and so it always comes back to not feeling like you have enough money or not having your basic needs met. And so for you, you know that, okay, if I can get my finances in order, that will have the biggest impact on everything else. So figuring out what that one thing is that'll impact everything else. Once that's done, pick one other thing and just one thing at a time. All right, and the last thing, which I talk about a lot, is accountability. So having other people involved in the process is so helpful. Different from like maybe you don't want to do the gold digger group per se, but maybe hiring accountability. So even if you get a coach or you're a part of a business mentorship group. I'm a part of one. I'm a part of the eBrand Club. I just signed up and I love it. I just identified with Erin so much, and it's great when you find someone that's just like a kindred spirit. Like you think the same way, you process things the same way, but they're just a little bit ahead of you. And so that is super helpful when you want to go in a certain places, is finding people who've been there before, who are on their way there with you. And another thing you could do, like for example, something that I've committed to doing for my email list, is I'm gonna have those monthly check-ins. I'm gonna encourage and provide resources and tips the whole year long, so that you're not just thinking about it once a year, but that you're constantly reminded what is it that's in you that needs to come out of you, and to make sure that you're in activation and that you're not just thinking it to death or self-sabotaging, which I have a video on, or just stuck. I want people to feel unstuck. So please, in the comments, let me know which one of these tips you plan on implementing, or what your one thing is. But the one thing that'll have the biggest impact, or be a quick win with the one thing you plan on doing at the beginning of 2020. Let me know in the comments. I can't wait to hear what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Mwah!